Tensura X Gate. Thus the JSDF fought their XHDARHRTK by Noru-Sensei. Warning. All of the places, names of the people, place, organizations, practices and beliefs that may be said in this chapter and future chapters are fictional. Rimuru. Seal, did you just gave a warning? Rimuru tilts her head. Seal then comes out from Rimuru. Seal. This is necessary, master. Besides, there are people who may be offended on what will Noru-Sensei write next in future chapters. Noru-Sensei. That may be right, thank you Seal-sama. Bose. Rimuru. But I requested Noru-Sensei to write our story, right? Rimuru looks at Seal with a curious look on her face. Seal. Hi. But still, this is also for the protection for Noru-Sensei. Despite being busy at work, Noru-Sensei still finds time to write the story. Shirori. It's also getting a sequel. Shirori started Noru-Sensei out but not for Rimuru and Seal. Noru-Sensei. And not just that. I also tend to continue a certain author's stories and write a new story. Rimuru. Era. What kind of story would that be, Noru-Sensei? Rimuru gives a wide smile. Noru-Sensei. This story will be from different reality, Rimuru. Shirori. What does the author mean by it? Shirori tilts her head in question. Rimuru. You mean the other Rimurus out there in other sets of universe? I knew about them, but I already knew what will you write, Noru-Sensei. Starts to tease Noru-Sensei. Noru-Sensei. Please let me say it. Saying it in an exhausted face. Rimuru. Then, go ahead. Noru-Sensei. Well then, the story that I will write is another Mahoka X Tensura. This will be a femme Rimuru that sacrificed herself for the cardinal world. Now that she has a lot of free time on her hands, she decided to get reincarnated into that world. That would be all I'll give about it. This is a requested story by @Victrap10. Rimuru. I see. Now then, without further ado. Let's start the chapter. This was supposed to be before the release of open double angle bracket Rimuru X Mahuka Kuku no Retusei Lost Zero Love, but since it got released already. Please don't mind our communication at the time. Filled circle. 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 Is defined as 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 is defined as. Currently all of the leaders around the world are having a meeting via online. The United Nations organized the meeting. The agenda topic was on how will they deal the special region. There are also some religions like the Holy Norse religion are encouraging its believers to have a petition for their representative countries to eliminate the so-called fake goddess. The current situation in some parts of the world are different. In Russia, some Russian are thinking that their glorious country will on its glorious days again. In China, some of the communist parties are very excited to have the special region of themselves. Not to mention the so-called Jura Tempest Federation Queendom of that fake goddess's nation. In the Philippines, meanwhile, the Philippine government has no comment on the matter yet. But for the Filipinos, their beliefs on their religion are very strong. But there are still some that believes in Rimuru. In the United Kingdom, the British people are also in different opinions. Some are in favor of Rimuru, some are against. You can say that all other nations around the world have the same issues. But there are some countries, like Japan, South Korea, Canada and Mexico are on full support and believers in Rimuru. Of course there are some who are against, but most of them believe that the world will be saved. After that, a meeting between the Russian Federation, President Zyuganov, and People's Republic of China, President Dong Deku. Zyuganov. Thank you for your time, comrade. He said as he shook hands with Dong Deku. Dong Deku. Don't worry about it, comrade. Our countries are just right next to each other after all. He then smirked. Zyuganov. Then, please have a seat, comrade. He gestures Dong Deku to a vacant chair. Dong Deku. Thank you, comrade. Then he took a seat. Zyuganov. Would you like some drink? Dong Deku. Sure, what drinks do you have? Zyuganov. We have vodka, white Russian, tea, kompot, visvar, kvass, medovuka, espiden, kissel, ryajunka, or soft drinks. Dong Deku. Then I'll have some tea, comrade. He smiled. Zyuganov. Hot or cold, comrade? Dong Deku. I would like a cold one, comrade. Zyuganov. Then choose the flavor of the tea, comrade. Then Dong Deku thinked for a minute for what flavor of tea he would like to drink. Dong Deku. Then I'll get tea blends with lemon. Gives back the drink's selection to Zyuganov. Zyuganov. Good choice, comrade. Zuganov then proceeds to pick up the phone to tell his staff to get tea blends with lemon for Dong Deku, and Esbiden for him. As he puts down the phone, he then looks at Dong Deku with a serious expression with a smirk on his face. Zuganov, how's the preparation on your side, comrade? Dong Deku, it's doing very well, comrade. My troops will be ready anytime. I also have some of my elite troops that are already deployed in Japan. Zuganov, we still have some time to prepare. For now, let's talk about the split of resources between us. He then smirks. Dong Deku did the same. Dong Deku, sure, I don't mind. Then they started to talk on how they will split the resources between them. Another was the future territory they will gain. That will be the territory of Japan. Lisha Elfriend and Pav, I'm currently reviewing Soma's paperwork. He's in the meeting between the Grand Chaos Empire's Empress, Maria Euphoria. How much time had passed, I wonder. I thought to myself. But suddenly, the door was opened. As I saw who entered the office. I saw Rimuru-sama, carrying a very familiar man. Then I realized. Soma, I worryingly said, then rushed out in front of Rimuru-sama. What happened to him? I worryingly asked. Don't worry too much, Lishachan. Kazuyakan is just sleeping due to him evolving. Rimuru-sama said as she puts down Soma onto his bed. Evolving? I asked. It means that he received his blessings from me. Rimuru-sama answered my question as she smiles. What? Soma had received his blessings from Rimuru-sama. It's an honor, to be honest. But I'm glad he is asleep due to evolution. Although I still don't get it that much. I thought to myself. I then went near to Soma as he is asleep. I then looked closely at his face. Soma looks so calm when he is asleep like this. Now that I look closely, he is really good looking. I could just wish Soma would learn to love me. No, Lisha. He will be. I'll just have to wait. Time skip. As the embers of war died down, and in order for Soma to reward those who had greatly contributed to this incident, we went to visit Van to meet the old General Hermann Neumann, and Gatsby Colbert. Colbert Dano, thanks to you, the people are united and the possible chaos has been halted. Soma said as he went near to a man named Colbert, who was kneeling in front of Soma. You are too kind, Your Highness. Moreover, we have something to present to you, Your Highness. Colbert said as he directed his open palm to a covered cloth of boxes. He then stood up and went to their gifts for Soma. Then he removed the cloth that was covering it. It's over here. These are the documents which includes financial reports and ownership in the principality. Due to the fear that they would be burned during the war, I extracted them. He said as he presents them. I see, so that's why I wasn't able to find them in the library. Said Hakuya. That is indeed a wonderful present, but you can take them back, you will need them for your next job. Soma said as he looks to Colbert with a smile on his face. Huh, Colbert looked dumbstruck. Then Soma's face turned serious. Former Minister of Finance of Amidonia, Colbert. Will you serve under me? He asks. Excuse me. Colbert asked with a shocked expression on his face. You do great keeping the economy from crumbling, while at the same time you had to worry about the military expenses. Now that the two nations will assimilate into one, I want you to work as the Minister of Finance of this newly formed kingdom. Soma said as he looks at Colbert. I accept anyone with merit regardless of their origin. So, will you let me borrow your skill? He asks Colbert, who was bowing at him. Of course, I gladly accept. He answered. Soma just nods at this, then he proceeds to the old general of Amidonia who was kneeling. Herman Dono, you did well protecting the border. Soma complimented. I live to protect the people. Thus, I was only being true to myself. But that being said, there's something that I want to present you. Herman Dono stood up and walked over in front of the other covered pile. Please allow me, he said as he holds the cloth, ready to remove. Go ahead. Soma gave the approval. Then he proceeds to remove the covers. Beneath it was a pile of many colorful textiles, all rolled up like roll cakes. The south of Amidonia has a successful industry that produces high-quality wool. He said. These textiles were made with that wool. Please, accept them. May I come take a closer look? Soma asked him. As you wish, Herman Dono said. Soma then proceeds to approach pile of textiles and he touched it. He then stares at it for few seconds as he murmured something. Then he looks back at Herman Dono. Herman Dono. Soma called him. What is it, Your Highness? He asked. There wouldn't happen to be a woman hidden in that carpet, would there? He asked. The moment Soma said that, Hermandono's face stiffened. No fair, no fair. It was gonna be the surprise of a lifetime. Why'd ya have to go and figure it out? A girl's voice exclaimed. The moving textile slowly came unfurled, and out popped a girl who was somewhere between my age when I was in the Royal Academy. Her long hair was tied at the nape of her neck into ponytail-style twintails, and she had lovely, regular features and beady little eyes. That was the kind of girl she was. The young girl put her right hand on the back of her neck, and her left hand on her hip, shaking back and forth a bit while she posed. Here I am, unannounced and uninvited. Roroa. Then she gave a coquettish giggle and tried to act sexy in front of us. My eyes were opened wide at this sight. Then I glared at Soma for a bit. As Soma was just staring with a deadpan expression at Roroa, she then puffed her cheeks and some smoke came out from her ears and made some tantrums as she said. Oh, what is it? You don't seem that excited at all, Sumahan. She said as she pouts. Sumahan. Did she really call Soma that? I thought to myself in surprise. But then I recomposed myself. Roroa, as in Julius Dano's little sister? Soma asked in disbelief. Yep, it's me, the prettiest girl in all Amidonia, Rorochan. Why are you here? Soma asked. That is, well basically. I'm here to be your wife, Sumahan. Rorodono proclaimed. Wait a sec there, I said in surprise as I rushed near Soma. You're the princess of Amidonia, right? So what are you even blabbering about? I then asked her in disbelief from her statement. Oh, you must be the princess of the kingdom, right? She asked as I nod my head in response. I'm pretty sure that in the beginning you only decided to marry Sumahan in order to give him the right to rule the kingdom, right? She asked again. How did you know that? I asked in surprise. Don't look down on the merchants, information network. Rorodono said. My reasoning is also the same. By marrying the principality to the kingdom, Sumahan would get the right to rule the principality as well. This way the principality would not need to pay anything back to the kingdom. While at the same time, the principality will be able to get food aid from the kingdom. Both sides will only gain profits from this marriage, no. It's true that the marriage would benefit the kingdom as well. I said. But right now, all I wish is to just support Soma. I then looked at Soma as I said that. I can see that he was blushing. And I do like him. Then I looked back at her as I raised my hand near my chest. We all stay by his side because we chose to be by his side. I declared to her as I looked at Aisha, who nods. Then there shouldn't be a problem. After all, I do like Sumahan. She said. You like him? I asked confused. But isn't this your first time seeing him? I asked her that to make sure. If it's about that, I already know him from the broadcasts. Like the one for the music entertainment program. Rorodono said. But still, to think that we can use the broadcast crystal for something like that, it's indeed impressive. She said as she puts her hand on her chin. By the way, how about using the broadcast crystal to advertise a product? She suggested to Soma. There are quite a lot of big shops under me that have been wanting to do that. She then smiled. Commercials, huh? Soma exclaimed. I completely forgot about that. I'll look into it right away. Soma then crossed his arms. I knew you'd get it. As I thought, you're an interesting person, Sumahan. Rorodono said. I always thought that if I'm going to marry someone, I would pick someone interesting. I feel like both the principality and the kingdom would reach an era of prosperity with you. She then smiled. Soma then went serious. I understand your reasoning, but are you really okay with that? I'm the one who killed your father, you know. Soma said as she looks at Roroa, who flinched from what he just said. Era, Kazuyakan. Are you perhaps taking credits who slayed Gaius? Rimuru-sama asked Soma, teasing him as usual. No. It's not like that, Rimuru-san. Soma flattered. Really? Rimuru-sama asked in a teasing tone of voice as usual. Anyway. Soma said as he is trying to change the subject. So you are the Rimuru Tempest that I heard from the merchants, information network. Rorodono exclaimed. I heard that she's beautiful like a goddess, but that is not an exaggeration but a real deal. If I first saw you, but I already did in some broadcasts. She proclaimed. Then why say it? I thought to myself. But now that you mention it, I did remove Anison from the principality as well. Her expression then turned a bit serious as she looked down on Soma's direction. Using the information network between merchants, I instigated multiple simultaneous riots. As she said that, Soma, Hakuya, and I were shocked as we heard it. Nah, so that was your doing? Soma asked in surprise from what Rorodono said. Moreover, it's not something for you to worry about. Rimuru dono, you and father tried to kill each other, right? In the battlefield, it's kill or be killed, so it's only to be expected, not to mention you returned his body as well, right? That's why, there's nothing for me to complain about. She then paused for a second as she looks down. But well, I guess we just didn't get along that much that I don't feel there's any need for you to worry about that matter. Both father and brother were so taken in by revenge that they were blinded. Amidonia is a poor nation. People were suffering because of starvation and poverty. Colberthan and I did our best to gather money for the people. As Rorodono explains, Rimuru-sama suddenly spoke. But in the end, all of it was used for war. Is that right, Rorochan? Rimuru-sama then asked her, who was startled. Ahe, she nods. If it was properly used, it should have been enough to reduce the people who starved and had to sell their children, as well as the children who were sold. But father would not listen to us. Then she slowly looked up. I wonder since when father and brother stopped caring about family. She weakly muttered as she gave a faint smile. Roroa. Soma was about to say something when Rorodono shook her head with a small smile on her face as she waved her hand to tell Soma not to worry. That's why, for me, the ones that I recognize as my family, are Hermanji-sama, Colberthan, and the people of the principality. She then said as she gave a wide smile. I want to ask you one other thing, about the rebellion that was quelled by Julius last month. Soma said in his serious tone of voice. For those who might be confused. When Soma took the city and when Roroa came to the kingdom uninvited, it was a day apart. Then a month later Soma and Maria talked about it. But in this fanfic, Julius's action against the rebellion happened last month before Soma's and Maria's meeting. And then Soma visited Van again too, Award, Herman and the others. But Roroa also came in disguise where she is hiding in those carpets. The uprising in the northeast area, was that also your doing? Soma asked. Rorodono suddenly made a furious expression. There's no way I would do something like that. As the matter of fact, I investigated multiple smaller rebellions in multiple places in order to avoid such a thing. She furiously said. Then, that happened naturally? Soma asked. No. That must have been due to the Holy Kingdom of Lunaria, since that area is close to the Holy Kingdom, and there are many believers there. My bet is that the Holy Kingdom used their believers to instigate a riot there. Rorodono said her suspicion. And would use the excuse of protecting the believers to invade the principality, is that right? Rimuru-sama asked. Rorodono just nods. What is their aim? Soma then asked Rorodono. It's to gather a lot of believers into their territory and religion. From what I can observe, that nation prioritizes getting believers into their religion. Rimuru-sama explains. Using religion to rule, which is abused and used as an excuse to do something cruel and hurt other people. I hate people like them, she declared. I'm sure that the kingdom will come in contact with that nation soon. She adds. Soma had a curious face from what Rorodono said. That nation hates the Star Dragon Range and the Grand Chaos Empire. She said. I can understand why they would hate the Star Dragon Mountain where people worship the Mother Dragon, but why the Empire too? Soma asked. The Empress of the Grand Chaos Empire is known as the Saint, right? Rorodono asked. Soma nods his head. In agreement. In Lunaria, the government decides who the saints and apostles are. The Empress of the Grand Chaos Empire is known as the Saint, right? That's why for the Holy Kingdom calling someone as saint without their permission, that's why, for the Holy Kingdom is like challenging their authority in that matter. She explains. After all, they might recognize you as the Holy King. Soma then made a troubled expression. Putting that aside, we're talking about us here. Rorodono then came closer to Soma. So, Sumahan, do you want me? Or not? She then asked Soma while appealing herself. Soma then blushed from this. There was a silence. Hi. Soma said looking down to hide his blushing face. Yata, she said in happiness. It was a bit painful that Soma had decided that easy. But I will let it slide for now. I thought to myself, then Soma suddenly asked me. What do you think, Lisha? Then I can see Rimuru-sama hiding her laugh as she says, Era, O youth. As she smirks. Why do you have to ask me? Well, at least I know Soma is concerned in being considerable to me. I thought to myself as I looked at the ground. I then looked up and closed my eyes as I said, if you believe it's necessary, I have nothing to complain about. I answered him. I then continued, after all, as far as I can see, she's a really capable person. So it's worth taking her in as a queen. And also, as long as you take care of the succession problem, then I have no complaints at all. I was about to finish what I'm saying when Rorodono suddenly spoke. Don't worry about that part. I don't really care about my position in Amidonia, after all. She declared. But in exchange, there's one thing I want to ask. Actually, I want to have my own merchant guild. I want to see how the nation will change from the money I earn with my skill. Although I'm sure that Darling's plan is well made, I'm sure that's not easy to pull capital even from the royal vault. Rorodono stated. SSHE just called him Darling. I haven't even reached that stage with Soma yet. I thought to myself. At that time, you can use the money from my merchant guild. I will give you my full support for that. She said. That's so assuring, but wouldn't it be a bad idea for the kingdom's queen to be doing business like that? Soma asked her as he is concerned. Don't worry, I'll be staying behind the scenes. I will ask Sebastian to be the guild's representative. She said, then Rorodono cling herself in Soma's arm. And so, if we have children or our own, they'll be inheriting the merchant guild. I'm pretty sure that our children will have no interest in the throne. Whoa there, I shouted as I pointed at her. You're taking this too fast, or more like just get away from Soma already. I then went near them and tried to pull away Soma from her. Then there are laughters inside as I then chase Roro around. Rimuru parallel existence POV. The next day after we have returned from Amidonia. I was enjoying my tea with strawberry cake at my own room when someone knocked on the door. Pardon me on disturbing you, Rimuru-sama. A voice said. May I come in? He asked. You may. I gave him permission. Then the door opened. It was Hakuyakin who entered. Behind him was Lishachan and Marks. How can I help you? I asked them as I sipped my tea. WWE would like to have a request. Marks first spoke up. What kind of request? I asked him as I put down the cup. Both Hakuyakin and Marks then looks at Lishachan. We were wondering if you could crown Soma as the king of Fredonia. She said. Era, and why have I came in mind? I asked her. Well, that's because. Lishachan was going to say something when Hakuya spoke up. Rimuru-sama, if may I? He asked. Go on. I gave him permission. In the kingdom, you were not just known as His Majesty's personal advisor, but also a queen of another nation. Not just that, you are a living goddess. Hakuyakin said. Although most doesn't know about it, it is a well-known fact that you are still a queen of a foreign nation. We seemed you as a perfect candidate to coronate His Majesty Soma Kazuya. Marks then explained. Tu was the one who suggested this, Rimuru-sama. Lishachan said. Well, there is no harm to do so. I thought to myself. Alright, I said. Thank you so much, Rimuru-sama. They said and bowed their heads at the same time. Raise your heads, you don't need to bow at me. I said. Plus, when it comes to your wedding in the future, I will coronate all of you. I added. Hi. Lisha muttered out loud. Era, did you think that I may leave any time soon? I asked. No. It's not like that, Rimuru-sama. She said as her face is red as a tomato. WWE are honored that you are willing to stay here said Hakuya, but there seems to be an uneasy expression on his face. How about your nation? Lishachan finally asked. Don't worry about that, I reassured them. After all, I'm just a mere parallel existence. I said to them. Lishachan muttered first. Parallel. Then it was followed by Hakuyakin. Existence. Marks then finished the sentence. It means that I can be anywhere at the same time without missing anything. I said to them as I wink. 2C. Marks first to come back at his senses. How about some tea? I then asked them. Then they all agreed to have some tea with me. Time skip. Currently I'm wearing a blue dress that shows my cleavage. As for my footwear, I wear some high heels. Lastly, I had my hair tied in a high bun that shows the nape of my neck. This was currently being broadcasted both in Amidonia and Elfrenden, which is after Kazuyakin has been crowned, it will be known as Fredonia. There are some royal guards present together with some Amidonian royal guards. It's nice to see them together. Everyone all raise. His Majesty, Soma Kazuya. Together with his future queens are entering. A guard shouted as all guards and some crowd paid attention. May I welcome His Majesty, King Soma Kazuya-sama. Marx said as the door opened. Kazuyakin then entered inside the chambers with his black military uniform. As he enters inside he then proceeds to the front near his throne. Next, his Prime Minister, Hakuya Kwanmindono. Marx then said Hakuyakin's name. He then enters inside wearing his usual black robe. As he enters he then went to the left side of the room. Next is His Majesty's future First Queen, Lisha Elfrienden-sama. As her name was called, Lishachan then enters the room wearing her usual military uniform. As she enters she then went to Kazuyakin's right side. Next is His Majesty's future Second Queen, Aisha Udgard-sama. Aishachan then went inside, she's currently wearing a light purple dress that shows her cleavage. As she enters she then went to Kazuyakin's left side. Next is His Majesty's future Third Queen, Juna Doma Tempest-sama. Marx then introduced my daughter. As my daughter's name was called, she then enters the room with a wide smile on her face. Junachan was majestic as she walks towards the front. That's my daughter. I thought to myself. She was wearing a navy blue dress that shows some of her cleavage. She then went besides Lishachan. Next is His Majesty's future Fourth Queen, Roroa Midonia-sama. Rorochan then went inside as her name was called. She was wearing her usual clothes. As she was inside she then went besides Aisha. After that they went to the right side of the chambers except for Kazuyakin. Finally, please welcome His Majesty's personal advisor, and also our royal guest, the Queen of Jura Tempest Federation Queendom. Rimuru Tempest-sama. Marx then introduced me. As my name was called, I went inside the chamber. I walked elegantly as I came closer to Kazuyakin. You can see that there is the newly made crown and royal spear that I personally made. I then signaled Marx to begin. Ahem. We're already starting the coronation ceremony. Marx said. I went and first grabbed the royal spear that symbolizes his reign and unity of both the people and his soldiers. This royal spear symbolizes your reign, the unity of both your people and soldiers. Soma Kazuya, do you swear you will use this spear as a symbol for unity and peace of this nation? I said and asked him. I swear in my name, Soma Kazuya. He answered. I then blessed the royal spear and then I gave it to Kazuyakin. Next I then proceeded to grab the crown. Finally the crown symbolizes your power, rule in both nations, wisdom and courage to rule. This crown shall be a reminder to you that you are a king. The faith of the whole nation is at your hands. Do you swear to rule in the right path, not abusing your power, and prioritize your citizens? I said and asked. I swear. Kazuyakin answered. Kazuyakin then kneeled in front of me as I put the crown on his head. I, Rimuru Tempest, Queen of Jura Tempest Federation Queendom, shall hereby declare, Soma Kazuya as the first king of United Kingdom of Elfrienden and Amidonia, this will be also known as Fredonia. I declared in front of them. Yahhhhhhhhh. They all cheered. The Principality of Amidonia assimilated with the Kingdom of Elfrienden, thus creating the United Kingdom of Elfrienden and Amidonia. To abbreviate it, the Kingdom of Fredonia. Kazuyakin had been known as the Great King of Fredonia. Meanwhile I was known later as Kazuyakin's gracing goddess as some found out that I was their goddess in lost textbooks. Apparently it was Seal who did it. But that would be a story for another time. Shizu Tempest Pav. It was already evening when we got back from Italica. Hinata, Kumiko-san and I were currently heading to the dining room. Then in the distance I can see Yanagita-san, who was waiting for us. Good evening, Your Majesty, Hinata-sama and Kumiko-dono. He greeted. Good evening. I greeted back. Hinata and Kumiko-san just nodded. Shall we go ahead? He asked. Sure, I said. Then he led us to the VIP section of the dining room. As we entered inside, there was Lieutenant General Hamazasan, Itami-san, then there is a middle-aged man with short hair that is slicked back. He was wearing a formal black suit with maroon tie and some other JSDF high-ranking officials. All stand. Hamazasan said as all of their present stood up. Then Hamazasan escorted us to our seats. Shizue-sama, he is Kano Taro, our Minister of Defense and Minister for Problems of the Special Region. Hamazasan introduced him. I'm Kano Taro, it's finally nice to meet you Your Majesty. Kanasan said as he bowed. It's nice to meet you too, Kanasan. I said as I smiled. These are my escorts, Sakaguchi Hinata and Kumiko-san. I then introduced Hinatakan and Kumiko-san as the both bowed their heads. Same ranking as Lieutenant General Kuichiro then. he said as he noticed Hinatakan's rank on her collar. I nodded. And, Kumiko-san here is your secretary? He asked. Hi, she is my secretary. I answered. Please, take a seat. Yanagita-san said as he pulled a chair. Arigato. I said as I took a seat and he pushed the chair. Others also took a seat. How was your visit so far in the special region, Shizue-sama? Kana-san asked. I enjoyed so far. I answered. Did you find any discomfort? He asked again. I then shook my head. I didn't, in fact all of them were very attentive, friendly, and have good service performance. I said my honest thoughts. We're honored that Yoi praised us that much. He said. Don't be that modest. I said. I just said what I really think after all. I added. Then a chef came dropping a dish. As he opens the cover, it was a seafood dish. This dish is called kayakimasu. A traditional Japanese dish originating from Tsugaru region in Aomori Prefecture. The dish is made by simmering scallops, eggs, leeks, and scallions in miso-based broth. The chef gave us the information about the dish. This looks delicious, Hinatakan said. Then he puts down the next one. As he opens the cover it seems it was a shrimp sashimi. This one is an appetizer called odori ebi. It is a traditional Japanese sashimi dish prepared with live baby shrimps. A live shrimp is first shelled, its head removed, and it's then served while it's still twitching as you can see. Then there is the shell and head of the shrimp that is deep-fried on the side of the plate. This dish is dipped into sake and a dipping sauce like shoyu before consumption. The chef explains. Then he presented the next one. Next is taimshi. This is a traditional Japanese rice dish consisting of seasoned rice with Red Sea bream. The fish is scaled, gutted, cleaned, seasoned with salt and sake, then lightly grilled. The stock is made with a combination of kombu kelp, salt, shoyu, mirin, sake, and grated ginger. He explains. And then the next dish was another seafood. Next dish is buri daikon. Originated from Toyama Prefecture. It is a traditional Japanese dish consisting of buri and daikon. Other ingredients that are typically used in the dish include ginger, water, sake, sugar, and shoyu. The fish is simmered in water, sugar, shoyu, and sake, producing gelatinous dashi. The chef explains. Then he introduced the next one. This is unadon, a Japanese dish consisting of grilled unagi fillets placed on top of steamed rice. The eel is grilled kabayaki style, where the fish is split, gutted, butterflied, cut into squares, skewered, then dipped in tare sauce before being grilled. The tare sauce consists of shoyu, mirin, sugar and sake. He explained. Finally he introduced the last one. Finally, this dish is called horse mackerel yakizakana, a Japanese dish that is served with a bowl of rice and a bowl of miso soup on the side, and in kaiseki ryori, a traditional Japanese meal that's served in courses. The fish can be left as it is, salted and marinated in shoyu. The chef said. Then the rest was sushi. All of the sushi was the following. Kohata nigiri sushi. Iwashi nigiri sushi. Harami nigiri sushi. Buri nigiri sushi. Anago nigiri sushi. Akami nigiri sushi. Chutoro nigiri sushi. Hamachi nigiri sushi. Hotate nigiri sushi. Narazuhi. Otoro nigiri sushi. Ika nigiri sushi. Teiko nigiri sushi. Oshizushi. Ebi nigiri sushi. Saba zushi. Maguro nigiri sushi. Sake nigiri sushi, salmon. Sake tamaki, salmon. It was a seafood-themed dish today. The drinks consists of alcohol like daiginjo, nigori, namazaki, ginjo, junmai, Japanese whiskey, sake, shochu, umeshu, midori, awamori, chuai, mugi shochu, genshu, hanjozo, taruzake and mizuwari. There are also juices available like orange, apple, blueberry and cranberry. It also had some watermelon shake, green mango shake, and strawberry shake. Your Highness, your scheduled visit to Japan is tomorrow, right? Kana-san asks me. Hi, I would love to visit Japan tomorrow. I said as I took a sip from my mizuwari. Then, are we going to activate the plan? He asked. Hi, please do so. I gave them permission. Kana-san and Hamaza-san smirked as I gave permission. Ryukai. Both of them said at the same time. You heard her, we're going to activate the operation. Yanagina, tell to General Makishima and Prime Minister Motoi that the operation is a go. Hamaza-san commanded Yanagita-san. Ryukai. Yanagita-san saluted, then went outside. Atami, I order you to mobilize 1st Japan Tempest Regiment and be on standby for orders. Hamazasan ordered. Ha! Itami-san then saluted. The rest may also mobilize and wait for further orders. He then said to them. Ha! Ryukai. All of them said at the same time. After that, we went back to our rooms. I then changed my clothes into my pajamas, then prepared to sleep. 3rd POV. As Shizu gave the go signal, Yanagita called General Makishima about it. Meanwhile, Atami went out from the VIP dining room and went to Masa's room to tell about the order. As he arrived to Masa's room, then he knocked on the door. Mas then opened the door and asked what did he need. Then Atami told Mas about the mobilization of their regiment. Little did Atami know, Mas is already informing Testarossa about Shizu's go signal for the first step of the plan. Rimuru, original, POV. I just came back inside the castle. Where did I went? I just came from Tempest Institute of Human Resources Development Academy. I first taught Hinata's first period, which is class 13. There are actually many individuals in that class. Like Azusa Aizawachan, with her companions Laika and Flattered. Then there is Euphilia Fez Paletia, she's currently a crowned princess and a spirit covenanter. I then blessed her by removing the spirit covenantant's curse. It is the curse to forget everything due time in your supposed death. Then there is her fiancé, Anisphia Win Paletia. She originally can't use magic, interestingly she has the dragon's blessings, making her immortal. These two are interesting. Why is that? Euphiliachan can't live without Anisphiachan's magical energy. When I met them 8 years ago, Euphiliachan had just became a spirit covenanter. So I blessed them both, from changing their bodies into divine human. The blessings for Euphiliachan are said above. As for Anisphiachan, I blessed her to use magic, though I sealed it for 10-year time, and her lifespan is limitless. She won't age anymore. Then after that, a year later, Anisphia became an empress, although a temporary one, she is still an empress. That was all thanks to me. Anyway, back to the topic, another that I blessed was Tilty Claret. She at first really hates magic. When Seal analyzed her we found something wrong in her. So we removed it and also evolved her into divine human. Those 6 were the top students in the whole 3rd year. From top 1 we have the rivalry of Euphiliachan, Azusachan, Anisphiachan, and Tiltichan. Top 2 is Laika, top 3 is Flattered, top 4 is actually from class 43 and so on. As I went to Hinata's first period, I then introduced myself as Ingarisu Yukas, one of my children's divine knights. Originally I would be teaching Tempest's history, but I then decided to test their strengths. So I have decided to have a spar with me. As we arrived at the sparring grounds, I asked who will go first. Then Euphiliachan volunteered to go first. It was a good spar, but she is still too young to beat me. Then that goes the same to class 13. Then we came back to their classroom and I left. As I finally finished teaching the 6th period, I came to the headmaster's office. As I arrived I can see Chloe reading some files. Then as she welcomed me, I helped her for a bit. It was the usual school report about teacher's status report. Also the student council president visits here to pass the daily report. And so as I teleported inside the castle lobby, the maids together with Rain, Misery, the maid I granted her wish, Diablo and surprisingly Ruminas are there to welcome me back home. Welcome back Okasama. Misery first greeted me as she bows her head. Okarinasai Okasama. Both Rain and Diablo bowed and greeted me at the same time. Welcome back, Ijo-sama. Then all of the maids including Ruminas bowed as they greeted me. How did you know it's me? I asked them. We can feel in the exact magicule signature that only Okasama have. Diablo said then Rain, Misery and Ruminas nodded in agreement. Alright, you caught me. I then changed back into my appearance. I'm currently wearing the old Demonlord outfit. And since I'm a woman now, it is a bit tight around my chest area. Even with Shuna adjusting it. I had Shuna to modify it to fit my current self. And this is how it looks now. Would you like some dinner, Okasama? Misery asked. Sure, I would love some. I answered. We will prepare it at once. The maids said as they bowed and left to prepare. But as I was about to walk towards the dining room, Testarossa then gave me a open double-angle bracket thought communication. Okasama, I just received a report from Mas that Shizue-sama gave the go signal for the first step of the operation. Alright, thanks for informing me, Testa. I thanked her. I'm not worthy to be thanked, Okasama. Testa humbly said. Then we cut the open double-angle bracket thought communication. Change of plans. Then as I said that, Misery, Diablo, Rain and Ruminez looked at me. What's wrong Rimuru-sama? Ruminez asked. Diablo, call all of the executives. I ordered. It shall be done, Okasama. Diablo bowed, then he vanished. Ruminez, tell to the maids that are currently preparing my dinner to delay it to later. I ordered. Hi, she said as she went towards the kitchen. Misery, Rain, prepare the meeting room. I ordered the both of them. Hi at once, Okasama. Both of them said at the same time as they went to the meeting room. I on the other hand went to the snack room to get some rice cracker, chocolates and some cold melon juice. I then went to the meeting room. As I opened the door, I can see that all of them are present including Veldora, Velzard and Velgrind. Then there is Hiro together with Tawa. I wonder what are they doing here? I thought to myself. Good evening Rimuru-sama Okasama Rimuruni Nisan Nichan Rimuru Ajosama Danasama. They all said at the same time as they stood up and some bowed their heads. Good evening, you may take your seat. I said, then everyone took their seats. It's been a while, Rimuru Oju. Tawa-chan greeted. It's been a while indeed, Tawa-chan. I greeted back. May I ask what are you doing here? I then asked the both of them. Rimuru-sama, they were here because of us who were having a reunion. Benimaru said. The reunion between you Onus? I asked. Hi. Benimaru answered. Hiro and I requested to Benimaru that we will join your meeting, and he reluctantly agreed. Tawa-chan explained. That's true, Rimuru-sama. Hiro said. All right, I'll let you stay. I said. Now then, let's start the meeting. I added. What is the topic of this meeting today Nisan? Velzard asked. I then smiled at this. For tonight's meeting agenda is the most awaited. I said. Kufufufufufu, Okasama do you mean about the plan? Diablo asked. Exactly. I answered. Most of the executives had an excitement on their expressions. Example of those are Gabiru, Benimaru, Gobta, Shion, Ultima, Carrera, Adalman, Sophia, Fobio, Fudora, and of course the otaku dragon Veldora. I then cleared my throat to gain their attention back to me. Now then, Benimaru, Misery, Rain, Shuna and Rigard. Hand out the plan sheet to all of them. I said and ordered. Then as the plan sheet was being handed out to each exclusives, I then took a bite from the rice cracker and took a sip from the cold melon juice. As they finished handing out the plan sheet, they were surprised that some of the plans are changed from we had discussed. As you can see, Benimaru and I changed some parts of the plan. We actually want to test our technology's capabilities. Instead of the Hiryu will be serving as the main air force, they will first observe on the performance of the Valentine Ifusu. I explained to them, then they all nodded. Second, I want to see the capabilities of our navy. Benimaru, do tell them later to mobilize immediately and stand by for further orders. I told him. Rimuru-sama. He said. Lastly, I want to see the capabilities of the following: golden numbers, silver numbers, Isekaigen numbers, and Tempest's holy numbers. The rest will be on standby. I said. Understood. The commanders of golden numbers Carrion, commander of silver numbers, Frey, and commander of Isekaigen numbers Michelle said at the same time. Shirori, take command of Tempest's holy numbers. I said to our newest member on the board. Of course you can take the 10th demon army with you. But please do be reminded that they will only serve as a watcher and just mobilize them as a last resort. I instructed to her. Shirori just nods. Now then the first step of the plan shall now commence. I declared. Testarossa Pav. As I reported to Okasama on what Moss just told me. The ground suddenly shaked. As the ground was shaking I can see Pinadono went outside. I then teleported near her. What are you doing outside? I asked her. What is happening Testarossa? She asked. This is what Rimuru-sama calls earthquake, I told. Then the ground stopped shaking. Testarossa, Princess Pina. Sugawara called us as he slowly approached together with some JSDF personnel escorts. Thank goodness you were all right. He added. I'm fine but, I don't know to Pinadono. I said. No, I'm fine. She said. From the density of this earthquake, there will be aftershocks later on. Sugawara said as he looks around. What do you mean Sugawara? Pinadono asked looking worried. Usually in an earthquake this strong, there will be some aftershocks weaker than this. He explains. Can you tell that to father? She asks. Sure. Sugawara hesitantly agreed. Then we went to Pinadono's father. He was staying at the royal palace. As we arrived there were no soldiers who stopped us as they were scared from the earthquake. How pathetic they are, I thought to myself. We then arrived into her father's room. The emperor was surprised, then we went to the audience chamber of the castle. Once we are inside we exchanged formalities and went to talk about the negotiation between Japan, Tempest and the Empire. We are then talking about the upcoming banquet but someone suddenly barged into the door. "Father, are you safe?" A tall and muscular man with a bodybuilder-like appearance with shoulder-length white hair, similar as mine said. I know you're going to ask and say, isn't Zorzel had a spiky blonde hair? But I followed his appearance based on the light novel of the series. "Oh, you came all the way here Zorzel," the father said. "I rushed here since there was an earthquake. So I checked on you," he said. "Brother, how did you know about the earthquake?" Pinyadono asked. "From one of my slaves. She said that there was an earthquake," he answered. "Does by any chance that slave is a Japanese?" I asked. "How did you know? But anyway, guards, bring that slave over here," he first asked, then he ordered his guards to bring the slave inside. Then as the guards followed his order, they pulled a woman beaten up, naked with chains on her hands and neck. The man named Zorzel then went to that slave and held her face as he said, "You tell father what you have told me," he demanded. "There is a earthquake," she hardly said. I then felt some anger inside. I looked around to see some of Sugawara's men are angry from the sight. "Tell to your father that I would be teaching this idiot a lesson," I said to Pinyadono. Testaro Sadono. "What do you mean?" she asked. But I didn't answer her. Then I went in front of him and punched his gut. He along with some of the guards behind him backwards. They had crashed on the wall way past the door. I could see that he coughed up some blood out from his mouth. "Don't worry, I made sure that I held back. I'm also sure Okasama wouldn't mind my actions tonight. Aim your weapons at them," I ordered as I picked up the woman and covered her with a piece of cloth. As I teleported back to Sugawara's side I dropped the woman gently. Then I can see that Kuribayashi along with some JSDF and 1st Japan Tempest Regiment troops followed my orders. Sugawara seems to understand why I ordered the rest to aim their weapons so he didn't ask. I then looked at the lowly emperor who was shocked. "Pardon my actions, but it seems that we would have to delay our banquet," I said as I smile. "Very well," he said. "Now please excuse us," I politely said. "Guards, don't let them pass," the idiot said. Fufufu, it looks like this lowly human haven't learned his lesson. "Do you really think you can get away from what you did to me?" he said. Fufufu, it looks like you haven't learned anything," I said as I smile. "Kill them," he ordered. The soldiers then charged. But that didn't end well as I ordered the JSDF to shoot. This will be served as a warning to that lowly emperor, I thought to myself as I collected the dead souls of those fools. Those soldiers who followed the idiot prince's orders died due to being hit by a bullet mostly in the chest and head. "Testaro Sasama, if may I?" Kuribayashi asked. "May what?" I asked her. "I want to test my strength against that prince," she said as she points to the idiot. "I don't mind, also be sure to beat him up well." I gave my go signal. "Ceasefire," I ordered. "This time show your close combat capabilities," I added. "Ha!" they said at the same time. Then they fixed bayonets. The fight was pretty much one-sided. Kuribayashi successfully beaten up that lowly idiot prince, and the rest were able to eliminate the rest of the soldiers without casualties. As the fight ended, we bid farewell to the lowly emperor and went back to Pinyadono's place. Durell Pav. Being a US president is hard. You get a lot of headaches, not just to my own nation but to the other nation that will rely on us. Ever since Japan had ended the relations between us, we lost a strategic point in Southeast Asia. Of course we have South Korea, but Japan is close to both Koreans, so if war broke out, we can immediately help South Korea. Now, as issue in the States grew drastically ever since that Rimuru Tempest proclaimed herself as a goddess. There are constant protests inside the nation to either start a war against Japan and that nation in the progress or have a diplomatic relationship with Tempest. The Norse religion was against that, and most of its believers are protesting also. Another one, those who are believing in that self-proclaimed goddess. Some of the citizens went to Japan and applied to have a travel access to that gate that will open soon. It connects Tempest, her nation and Japan in Ginza. Either way, the country will be screwed anyway if I picked either options. But either way, my guts are telling me not to have a war against Tempest. I don't know, but ever since that day. There are things happening around the world. What is a good choice to be made? Being neutral is out of the question. Then why don't you side with Tempest? A voice said. This startled me as I knew I was alone in this room. Who's there? I asked. I am what you called a god of this world. The voice said. Ah, god? I asked, refusing to believe. A god. You may say that some people started multiple religions because of me. One example will be the Holy Norse religion. He said. So you mean that the Holy Norse religion was just a misunderstanding? I shockingly asked. It was. After all, it's not possible that I can make this world without her. The voice said. Why her, do you mean? Rimuru Tempest? I asked. You may call her that since that's the name oldest true deity gave you to call her. The voice said. Why you mean that's not her real name? I asked politely. You can that, but at the same time it is her real name. She who finally finished her divine rest after a long time came back to us. The voice said. If you don't mind asking me this question. I said to it. Go on. The voice gave permission. What kind of a god are you? Who are you? I asked. Now, to answer your first question. I am what you called a supreme god. She who is known as the truest goddess, and amongst titles, I on the other hand have lesser titles. One example would be, a supreme deity in other terms. I who continued where she have started and what she left for me. The voice said and explained. I said as I still processing the information I got into my head. Compared to me, she who is always alone in the void. You can say that I was one of her creations also. But not just an ordinary creation, she also took care of me as part of her family. She knows all emotions very well compared to myself. I only learned what these called emotions when I fell in love with a human. She who is immortal, not to mention, one of her creation. The voice said, seemingly lonely as he paused. Why you don't have to tell me? I said. It's fine, I'm just a mere mortal. My title as the US president doesn't mean anything. I added. You may be right, I was interested in humans for a long time. It just bring me back some memories. The voice said. Wouldn't you mind if you show yourself? I asked. Yahahahaha. You made me laugh, human. Sure, I don't mind. The voice said. Then the light shines so brightly that I have to cover myself. As I opened my eyes, I saw a man with galaxy blue colored hair wearing a galaxy blue colored kimono with golded colored trims on the side. Then I will answer your second question. I am known I am title as the Star King Dragon, and also the oldest true deity's brother, Veldanava. The god in front of me introduced himself not only as a supreme god, but also Rimuru, that goddess brother. I then took a seat from the chair and closed my eyes as headache went worse. Veldanava paw. As the human in front of me sat on his chair, one of his agents holding gun came inside. Who the hell are you? He asked as he pointed the gun at me. Calm down, I'm just a visitor that your own president didn't even tell you that I'd come in. I said. Mr. President, is that true? He asked. Yeah, it's on me. Tell to the others when you saw him, be respectful. Also prepare coffee with snacks for us. He said and ordered. Yes, Mr. President, the agent said as he puts back his pistol on the holster and left. After some time, a different agent came in the room and placed down 2 empty cups and some snacks that is good for either coffee or tea. Surprisingly, they brought some tea, which is good. Well, actually this is just a secret between us. I actually manipulated the agent to get some tea. Then we talked for a bit, as I convinced Durell. I then went back into Rimuruni's imaginary space where Lucia and I were staying at. How did I manage to get out without Rimuruni's awareness? It was with the help of Seal. She is currently busy after all. Welcome back, honey. My wife greeted me. I'm back, Lucia. I greeted back as I kissed her on the cheeks. Did you do what Sealsons requested? She asked. I did, and it worked very well. I answered. Well, I expected that you will do it. Lucia then kissed me my cheeks. Of course, I'm a supreme god after all. I said. Hi. She giggled. Onichan is really amazing as you boosted her. She said it for the time. I know, she is really amazing. I causally said. When do you think we will go back to the Cardinal World, Velda? Lucia asked. If Rimuruni has not that much work to do. I answered. Will she ever have free time? She asked. Of course she will. Rimuruni said that she will surprise our Milam soon. I proudly answered. I was just joking there, honey. Lucia said as she giggled. Then we went to our daily routine. 3rd POV. It was early in the morning when Japan News broadcasted worldwide that one of the queens in Tempest will visit Japan to announce the opening of the new gate and the newly connected train lines in Tokyo. Both leaders of China and Russia smiled at this as they are ready to launch at the moment the Queen of Tempest shows up. The arrival. 10 p.m. Japan time. The Russian disguised as Japanese vessels are on standby. They thought that the JMSDF didn't notice them, so they went along. There are also some Chinese soldiers disguised either as civilians and some infiltrated as SDF personnel. As for the United States, U.S. President Durrell announced to the nation that he will side with Tempest. Some of the Americans and the believers of the Holy Norse religion were very disappointed at their president and started a riot. Surprisingly, most of the U.S. military, SWAT and police were orrying to the president. There are also a lot of supporters. But little did Durrell know, this will be on hell of a riot later on. Time skip. It was already 15 minutes left before Shizu's arrival to the venue. She is already in Japan. When they arrived at Japan, Shizu immediately wanted to explore, but both Hinata and Kumiko stopped her. At the venue, there are a lot of SDF personnel are on the scene. It was actually the Chinese forces under disguise as SDF troops who were present. But at the same time, Atami's platoon from 1st Japan Tempest Regiment are present with Atami itself was there. After some time, the host said the arrival of Shizu. She was wearing a military uniform similar to Shuna's and Rimuru's outfits. Most of the audience present were cheering for astonished in her beauty. Japanese people thought she looks like very Japanese. As Shizu walks into the podium as the national anthem ends, she then first introduced herself. Good evening everyone, I'm the 3rd Queen of Tempest, Shizu Tempest. For tonight's event, I'm proud to say that we are finally going to open the gate for Tempest. She said, and crowds cheered as they applaud her. Ahem, not just that. Tempest Railway is also being connected into some routes. For Yokohama, Tempest Railway will merge with Tokyu Toyoko Line, Minatomirai Line and Tokyo Metro's Fuko-Toshin Line. Another, going for Tokyo, Tempest Railways will merge with Junior East routes. That will be a surprise. More project for the train merges will continue soon. As Shizu finishes, most of the crowds were very excited for this. But then, all of a sudden some Chinese elites wearing civilian clothing rushed inside. They aimed weapons directly to those people on stage. The Chinese soldiers wearing SDF clothing also did the same, as this was their go signal. The people on stage were Shizu, Hinata, General Makishima, Atami, and some of his platoon members were on stage. They didn't move. Raise your hands, a Chinese soldier said. Rimuru-san, you may start the operation now. Shizu said to Rimuru via open double-angle bracket thought communication. Shizu then smiled at him and said, "You fell for our trap." As she said that the supposedly civilians suddenly changed their clothes with the new uniform that Tempest gave, it was very similar to the SDF's uniform, but there is something special in it. Those were present in this event were actually Michelle's Isakaijin numbers, whom is temporarily under command of Atami, and Tempest's Holy Numbers division that will follow the orders of Hinata until Shirori arrives. What the? One of the Chinese elite soldiers reacted. Now it was a standoff against them, but then some Russian forces also dressed as tourists came inside with their weapons aiming at whoever is their enemy. Rimuru, original, POV. Rimuru-san, you may start the operation now. Shizu said via open double-angle bracket thought communication. I then stood up and said, "Everyone, the moment you are waiting for," I said as I smirked. Everyone were very excited for this. Now then, Operation Starmine is a go, I declared. Yeaahhhhhhhh, they all said at the same time. You fell for the trap. Now then, what will the US do? I then gave them their set of tasks. Extra Chapter 1, Shirori's Diary, shortened. Shirori POV. You know me already, so I won't introduce myself. I'll just tell you on how I got myself with Rimuru. It was during the war in the elf village. The demon lord and that bastard were facing with each other. On the other hand, Rimuru were defeating the Glorias without breaking sweat. I do really find her beautiful. Anyway, as I finished fighting with some Glorias with Vampy, I then went to Mr. Oni and told him. Go to Shun. I said. Alright. He said, then went to Shun, who was still recovering. Shun, who maxed out his taboo skill, learned about the truth of this world. As the others we attending to him, I teleported to my vice commander of the 10th Demon Army, Felmina. Master. She greeted me as she bowed her head. I just raised my hand signaling her to don't mind me. She then nodded and focused back on her fight. Wait, I have nothing to do. Maybe I should observe the Demon Lord. And so I did, I teleported near to watch their fight. Potamus is the same as ever, using those weapons against the Demon Lord. But the Demon Lord just dodges it. Erase close corner bracket. A voice said. Her appearance seems to be quite young with shoulder-length yellow hair. She is wearing a military uniform. As she said that, Potamus seemed has to be a bit weaker. Then the Demon Lord took this opportunity and strikes his body out. Now the Demon Lord aims for Potamus's main body to end it all. But all of a sudden she can't move. Nah, the Demon Lord said. You think you can outsmart me with a helper? Potamus asked. I don't know what you're talking about. She said. Oh really? Then explain, this. He explained as he fired the shot of MA energy towards to his left. Don't worry, that helper can't also move. Even that spider who is here. He proclaimed. Era, I think you got it wrong, Potamaskin. A familiar voice said. Rimuru suddenly appeared in at the back of Potamus and stabbed him with the sword. Gwa. Potamus then coughed some blood. You, fool, you're all going to die. That bastard said as he grabbed the remote from his hand and pressed the button. This is a GMA bomb. It will explode in 10 seconds. He said as Rimuru pulled out her sword, making Potamus fell on the ground lifeless. You're the fool, Potamaskin. Who do you think I am? She asked. Then Rimuru just flickered her finger. The Demon Lord suddenly can move. Who are you? The Demon Lord asked. I'm what you called a goddess. Rimuru said. A goddess. The Demon Lord exclaimed. I know what you are thinking. I usually don't interfere in any of the world unless I saw some potential on it. Now I would like to talk about something. Rimuru said. The Demon Lord then agreed. The war ended with our victory. Rimuru and the Demon Lord talked about being the world's negotiator. Of course she released Sariel and she accepted. All of the demons were now living happily without poverty. As for Shun and his party, he married Katia. Why do I know? I observed from the distance from time to time. Now they already know it's me, Wakaba Hero. But I'm not her. It's Dee's identity in that world. Speaking of Dee, she held me back on her new base but then Rimuru saved me. As she saved me Rimuru then bring me to Tempest her nation. Not just me but also the 10th Demon Army. Hence to me here is the commander of Tempest's holy numbers. My second in command is Felmina. The rest of the 10th Demon Army are now under command of Rimuru. Currently, I'm in the meeting room. Just listening to Rimuru's plan of action. Part of Operation Starmine. She is really beautiful. Hi. I admit, maybe I have fallen in love with her. But I don't think I can just confess to her, can I? Extra Chapter 2. Benimaru and Rimuru's plan on Operation Starmine. Rimuru, original, Pav. That is true, I haven't think of that, Rimuru-sama. Benimaru said as he puts his hand on his chin focusing on the Earth's world map. We were currently discussing on which troops we are going to deploy. That's why we are going to deploy them to test their capabilities. I said. I agree, now then does this finalize our plan? He asked as I double check. That will do it for now Benimaru. I said as I gave him a thumbs up. The plan was simple, we will have Shizu announce these, then one of the SDF member will be giving some uniforms to the Chinese. Of course there are some Chinese elite soldiers there. Instead of the real audience, we will have the 1st Japan Tempest Regiment, Isakaijin numbers, and Tempest's holy numbers in the venue dressed up as a regular Japanese civilian. In this way, they will fell into the trap. Also if they use some nukes, it will not work as I prepared in advance the barrier. Tempest's navy will shine as they will sail towards mainland China and bombard some military bases. Now then, I also have a backup plan if the US doesn't join them somehow. For now I will treat them as a possible enemy.